first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for their participation in the poll. It seems like 70-30, the community has voted for us to launch in with less than the $1 million in liquidity, um, which the truth is, in this current climate, with the last few weeks of marketing and looking at what those yields are, they have been largely ineffective. You spend $1 and then you get back maybe 80 cents, sometimes less. And it's clear that in these kinds of market conditions, people are concerned, they're scared. There are people that have taken significant losses. And without kind of new money entering crypto, you have to have folks essentially acquiescing their positions that they've lost 50% in something to be able to come into, buy into our presale. So at this point, I think it may be better for us to launch and then be able to exclusively focus on the monocle market because truly that's where the value of CollectCoin comes from. It comes from, the use case, monocle market, the transaction fees, making sure that there's, throughput on the monocle market. So our intention moving forward is going to be, well, one, with regards to the launch of CollectCoin, to take a look at the market, assess when a good time is going to be. It is going to be in the very near future. We don't have a date exactly lined up at this time. Some of it has to do with the tumultuous nature of the market. But since the sale has ended, we will be finalizing the sale, and our intention is to move much of that BNB to stable, at least in the short term before we launch. That way, we won't have to deal with additional market volatility. Um, just these last week, there has been a significant amount of, unfortunately, BNB going down quite a bit. So we're going to, obviously try to protect that capital. And, just so that everyone knows, when we were hacked and we lost 1,661 BNB, that was, I think today 1661 BNB would be just under $500,000. I think it's safe to say that we would be launching with more than that. So even though it's less money, we would be launching with more BNB, which is the pair on PancakeSwap, than we lost in December. Um, so I see that we already have a question. You know what? I'll take questions throughout. Maybe based on something I just said, someone has a question. So I'll allow Isaac. Isaac, please ask your question. Wait, is he still there? There you are. Isaac, can you hear me? Isaac, Izak. Okay, I'll just keep talking and maybe he'll remember what he wanted to ask me. So essentially, just I wanted to provide some updates with regards to our overall development. We will probably have the next really flushed out beta version next week. This is going to have essentially much of the buying experience completed. Individuals will be able to connect their wallet, create a profile of sorts. You name your account. You can upload a profile picture if you wish, but there's no email, there's no password, there's nothing like that you'll need. They'll be able to buy items. They'll be able to resell items that are already on the platform, pay their fees. They will be able to stake their collect coin onto our staking platform. And when transactions happen, if you're logged in, you'll see a notification that informs you that a sale has happened and that you've earned some collect coin. At which point you can withdraw the coins that you've accrued as a result of your stake if you wish, or you can restake those and compound them additionally. Uh, what we're working on at this point, once that beta is running, is going to be just fine-tuning some of the backend features. Like when an item comes into the vault, there needs to be levels of authentication where only certain wallets are going to be permitted to vault to deal with the authentication and pass through that segment. Um, to even in the redemptions options like that has been we're flushing that out. That should be ready very shortly. We're partnering with Shippo as our shipping provider. They will offer options globally for individuals to be able to receive their items. Um, as long as they're not in kind of a strange or maybe precarious place for shipping. Um, Largely, we're using express shipping because you can do door-to-door tracking. And when you do redeem, just FYI for everyone, you will have to obviously give us an address, but at least initially, we're asking for an email address as well, so we can communicate with you, let you know what you're tracking. Everything's going to be visible in like your dashboard, what your tracking number is and everything, but we'd like to also have some kind of ability to communicate with you. So we ask for an email address only in the situations of redemption. We're really trying to keep this as pure as possible. But when you start involving real world items, we might need to deal with the real world folks a little bit as well. Um, as we continue to build out the back end, we'll probably be ready to start the once the second round of the beta is completed. I anticipate we'll be much closer to getting ready to do some audits of the contracts. That's the market contract that deals with the swapping of the NFTs, as well as the staking contract, just to make sure that someone can't come in and take all the coins from the staking contract somehow, some way. And it would be a live trading coin, so obviously we have to protect ourselves. If CollectCoin, for example, wasn't launched during, well, I guess actually no, that wouldn't happen. The coin would have to be launched at the point of the staking, no matter what. So that that's irrelevant. In any case, we have made significant progress. We are working on additional video content. We're not quite finished with the second video. I know I said that I would have something for you guys in the next couple days. It'll be ready. We're just adding some features and some animations to them. We have a great in-house team that has largely been able to do everything from the filming. I've been kind of working on some of that. We have a great animation team. And we're going to be focusing on increasing the exposure of Monaco Market as we're leading up to the launch of the Monaco Market versus, shilling a pre-sale where in this climate, people are just not as inclined to invest. Or the truth is, you know, there are folks that have been waiting for us to launch for quite some time, and whether they sell, rebuy, or just, I don't know, maybe they wait and see what happens. It's time to move forward. As I said before, the community has spoken, and I think that it's important that, we listen to you guys. So at this point, what I'd like to do generally, if anyone has any specific questions about anything, or, if you guys know some interesting folks that have genuine communities. We're still looking to do marketing. Make no mistake. It's not that we're stopping marketing altogether. It's just that the way that we're doing it, we're kind of shifting the the kind of the process. Whereas before it's get, maybe a YouTube partner or Twitter partner to say, oh, talk about the idea and then push collect coin. It's going to be starting to build anticipation for the Monaco market itself so that individuals can start to anticipate. And also, what we will be doing from the community is soliciting to get an understanding of what do you guys want. Is there something specific that you think that we should be featuring? Now, don't get me wrong, not every suggestion may be able to be honored because much of the curation strategy has to do with the investment quality, and we lean heavily on the dealers as well as just market research to understand what are those items. And we want to make sure that when someone buys something on the platform, that there's a reasonable level of expectation that the item's value will hold or increase gradually over time. Whereas, there are some items that have gone up dramatically in just the last few months, and as a consequence, there is a little bit of retracement. Now, if you look at a longer time horizon, I do think that you're still going to continue to see an upward trend. However, it is important that we protect anyone from obvious downside. So I guess I would ask, I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if there's any specific questions folks have. I'm going to be here, I'd like to be here for about an hour to give everyone kind of a fair chance. Um, yeah, you know, it's funny. Normally, I would be on my computer, but every time sign on my computer, it just shows orange for some reason. Um, redeem with contact, yeah. So, just so that everyone knows, one other thing that we may also do, uh, moving forward, in addition to some of these open betas, are more polls related to the actual users of Monocle Market. For example, I would like to know, where are you guys from, so that we can really kind of hone in on making sure that we have shipping options for everywhere. Depending on where you're from, we've had to talk to different shipping providers. Uh, for example, in some places DHL, some places FedEx, some places UPS, and just make sure that, obviously, one, safety first, that, this is a reliable shipping partner for your respective location. And two, there's also one giant thing that everyone must always realize: when we ship these items, the full value must be declared. It has to be insured in full, because what if something happens? This is not a contract swap of digital goods. There's real items that are moving. And I have seen, I've sold literally thousands of items over the years. Occasionally, very occasionally, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times where something went wrong. But unfortunately, one time in America, but every other time it's been internationally. I've shipped something to Poland, and then it never got there, and then 2 months later I got it back, kind of all roughed up, but I don't know what happened. So we want to make sure that we're doing the necessary research to make sure that we have the right shipping partners for your respective locations, and just make sure that, when you redeem your item, or rather, you redeem your NFT, you get your item exactly as anticipated. Excuse me. So I'm going to take a look at any other questions. The completion rate of Monocle Market. That's a great question. So I would say the front end buyer experience, man, maybe 90. I mean, it's so close to being finished. It's really, really close. But again, what we're really honing in on right now is that back end. For example, talking to the authentication partners, it's more than just trying to negotiate a good deal, because look, they're going to charge. Someone might want $30 for an authentication, but if I tell you I want to do 1,000 authentications, um, I think you can probably come down on that price. So it's negotiating better deals, but it's also making sure that they see the kind of elements that they need to see. Uh, Namely, like, for example, watch sellers. One of them that I talked to, that is going to be able to do it, over the internet, because some of these watches, we're not going to ship all these items to the people, have them ship it back. I don't want to do that. I don't think the watch sellers themselves want these items unnecessarily in transit. So what they want is a video of the movement. So those authentications are a lot more involved than necessarily an authentication of, let's say, a trading card, where if it's PSA graded, you can go on the PSA website, you can search for that identification number, and there's something that's supposed to pop up. When was the last time that item was sold? Who was it sold to? So there are elements that we can track to kind of give you guys a soft guarantee that this is what it says it is, because it's been it's been verified. And I think that that's going to be a very important factor. When I was selling, namely the handbags, the number one question people are concerned about is authenticity. You see it even today with Nike suing StockX because they purchased 4 pairs of fake sneakers. Now, what I'm curious about is, how many pairs of sneakers did they have to buy to get those four? Because I would venture to say that it wasn't four for four. That would be kind of crazy, but I think that they probably bought quite a few, and we don't want any issues when it comes to the primary manufacturers of these items saying that, oh, Monocle Market is selling fakes, because we'll have multiple layers of authentication that we can prove and say that, hey, this authentication partner said it was real. we have an original, maybe receipt, maybe box and papers, maybe something to show that this isn't just us taking something and saying, "Hey guys, trust me," because that trust. While we hope that you do trust us, it should come from a place where we're doing necessary things to make sure that when we offer something, it is what we say that it is. Taking a look to see if there's any other questions about Mark. Can you guys talk to Rubel again? Absolutely. We have a great relationship with Michael Rubel. He's been a fantastic partner to us. We were one of his, I would say, one of his early when he started talking about outside projects. And I still talk to Mike. So absolutely, I can reach out to him. I would say what'll ultimately happen with influencer marketing, it's going to be we're going to have a kind of a strategy with multiple influencers that will kind of run as we're getting ready to launch the marketplace. So it'll kind of drive hype around the marketplace as we're getting ready to launch. Hopefully, we'll be able to, get folks ready buying collect coin, kind of stimulating some of that price action, so that things will get better for everyone. Now, another thing, and this is just in discussion, and I just want you guys to know that we're considering all options, is to maybe, accept collect coin for the transactions and then BUSD, but assess whether we need BNB, or potentially maybe we launch with it, maybe we take it back. It's tricky. We're trying to understand the effects of this. We also want to understand what happens with the launch of the marketplace, because the reality is, BUSD has significant liquidity. So if you wanted to buy something and you were concerned about volatility, but you were willing, the sellers at least were willing to pay a slightly higher fee, then they could accept BUSD. But if you're dealing with volatility, perhaps there's less volatility in BNB, but you're still going to deal with volatility, just as well with collect coin. So we're starting to wonder, if maybe BNB is necessary, especially because a big part of our go-to-market strategy is going to be how do we create as much value as possible for collect coin? And, that's something that's definitely under consideration. So make no mistake, this isn't us launching collect coin and then saying whatever happens, happens. We're very mindful of trying to make sure that everything we do is deliberate, that it is mindful of what the consequences are going to be, and we're adding and creating as much value as we possibly can and directing it toward collect coin. Take a look. I see some more things. Is launch that will be this month or depending on the market situation? To be completely honest with you, it'll be a little bit of both. I anticipate it will be this month. But to be totally honest with you guys, if the market is in a complete free fall, I don't think that's gonna happen. We're gonna have to just wait for just, kind of calmer waters, Uh, it's very shaky right now. That's why it's hard for me to give you an exact date. In previous situations, I would have said, okay, the community has decided we're finalizing the contract. We're finalizing the contract today. We're gonna move it to stable today, and then we'll launch on Monday. But we just want to make sure that we may not give everyone a big notice. Like it won't be like, oh, in 10 days we're gonna launch. It may be something shorter because we see calm in the market, or maybe even an uptrend, after a little bit of blood. And then we'll announce it. Everyone will know. We'll tweet it, Telegram, multiple, make sure that people are aware of it. We may even reach out to all of our marketing partners so that they can inform their communities that, hey, this launch is finally happening. It has been long anticipated. Metaverse happy. Okay, someone says, I believe the metaverse will have a huge impact in the upcoming years. Any plans to partner with hyper-realistic metaverse Everdome or a such? Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm not familiar with Everdome. I've never spoken to anyone from their company, but we have spoken to three other metaverse projects. Like, Decentraland, it was a little bit not realistic in terms of like kind of the way that it is. We want to work with a metaverse project that has high fidelity. We've even discussed what could we do in the metaverse. And in some of our initial conversations, it's been, well, we could have maybe a boutique in that metaverse where we have select items that, our folks could buy. And then also maybe we partner with those metaverse projects so that individuals, let's say you buy a watch, you can wear your watch. Maybe you buy a trading card, and then there's something about that card that'll grant you some kind of item in game. It just comes down to figuring out what verticals we're able to integrate, and if we're able to do all of the verticals, trading cards, handbags, watches, uh, the memorabilia, hell, even the art, like for example, if someone buys a painting maybe in their metaverse house they can hang it, that would be kind of cool. But we're trying to one assess what is the actual implementation going to look like, number one, and then two, uh are they high fidelity enough? Are they going to be kind of realistic? Because you know, you got 15 pixels on your wrist. Who knows what that is? Like the strength of some of this is being able to differentiate between the items, So, absolutely, we're looking at partnering with metaverse projects. Our intention is to partner with, as many companies as make sense as possible. There are no limitations. I'm not ever going to say, oh, no, that's stupid. That's we're very open-minded. And the only times that we're going to decline anything is if it's something that doesn't really have great value and they want to maybe sell in the marketplace. And by the way, we've been contacted by hundreds of sellers through our website that we've gone through, or hundreds of folks through the website. So many of them are sellers that want to sell things. And while we appreciate your inquiries, some of the collections are kind of small. Some of them don't necessarily reach the standard that we're looking for. Like for example, someone wanted to sell some Pokemon cards and had a vast collection, but none of them were graded. And that's incredibly important. Having a naked card, there's some guys out there that buy these and then they have them graded themselves and you kind of take a risk. But that's not something that we're going to be doing for our community. It's really about making sure that we provide you with the best options without a lot of barriers so that, if you decide you want to invest, you're going to be able to. So, just so everyone knows, our MVP will launch with a wide array of items. We're not going to have a lot of items, mainly because we want to keep things manageable in the beginning and then continue to add things just in case there's something that happens that, it's unforeseen. We're doing everything we can to avoid those situations, but part of it is going to be manageable growth. So if we launch with 50 or 100 items, you can expect week over week, day over day for more items to be added. Really trying to have a focus on those items themselves and tell the story about them because each of these items are unique. They have investment quality. And again, there's a reasonable expectation that even in this down market, look, some of the watches, I'll admit, they've corrected 10%, but the greater market has corrected a heck of a lot more, and this is atypical. My expectation is as the markets settle, all of those assets will continue to go up. In trading cards, there hasn't been a lot of correction in that space that I've observed. The kinds of items that we're offering with it's Pokemon, baseball, basketball, football, soccer. Uh, they're holding fairly steady. Those enthusiast markets, the financial markets tend not to affect them as much. Um, is it possible to raise the sales slippage to 10% or more, for example, until the Monaco market is launched to support LP? Is it possible to raise the sales slippage to 10% or more? I uh the sales slippage. The sales slippage, that's when you're selling or buying something on an exchange and you need to uh give an allowance for a difference in price because of the price impact. Um I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. I'm not sure. Could you elaborate, please? Period. That's the person is just a period, or a dot. Maybe elaborate a little bit more, please. Um, and do you know what date the V2? Not exactly. We don't know just yet, but I can speak to you about the process. So what'll end up happening is the first thing that we'll do is I will uh, put the liquidity in PancakeSwap, and then we're going to start an airdrop. The airdrop will be, we already have the list of folks. Now, it's two things. One, the tokens will, or I believe they're already in your time locked wallets. So if you've invested, they're already in your time locked wallets. We're going to give everyone access to those wallets again. So you'll be able to connect your wallet and take out your funds if you wish, put them in your own wallet, leave them if you wish, and then and at the same time, obviously, the airdrop will begin. So folks will be getting their tokens. We'll be on standby on Telegram and on Twitter. If anyone has any issues, it's a script, so I mean, it'll take kind of a few minutes for everyone to kind of get everything. We don't anticipate any issues. We'll definitely maybe do a little test on the test net just to make sure that everything runs as it's supposed to. But again, when it comes to that, we don't anticipate any issues. Um, oh, it's buyer sales tax. You know, that has been asked before. Um, I am so kind of against these taxes. I have always felt that they felt punitive. Um, you know, it's something that I don't know. I'm very iffy about it. To be honest with you, that's the kind of thing that I may ask the community about. Like, but have a short poll. That what are your thoughts about something like that? I have seen other projects do this, especially in a relaunch scenario where they kind of alter their tokenomics. Um, you know, I don't. First of all, I would not impose a buy tax. No, that I don't. I wouldn't do that. I would be against that, and I would be vocal opponent of that. There should be no barriers to acquire collect coin. Than whatever barriers already exist. However, a sell tax. I mean, it's something I've considered. Um, and I guess I would ask the community what their thoughts on something like this. You know, if it was implemented, it would only be until maybe the launch of the marketplace, and then it goes. There's no way that CollectCoin is going to have a sell tax when the Monaco market is operating. I don't agree with this. Um, I'll obviously talk to the whole community and our dev team as well about what their thoughts are because I do, as I mentioned, I'm an open-minded person and I'll listen to any arguments that people have for something that is constructive for the project. But 10% taxes, like the reason why we've structured this business like this is specifically because we're trying to fight the high fees that exist in the market. And a 10% tax when looking at it from the perspective of a seller. A seller, let's say they're accepting BUSD because they're selling something expensive and they don't want to deal with the high fluctuation. So top end fee, 4.5%. Okay. Now all of the fees that they may have to take some of this money and put it back into their cash flow to acquire items, unless their suppliers are accepting crypto also. But let's say they don't. Then there's off-ramping fees. We're working with a payment processor to allow for credit card payments, but also to allow for off-ramping of some of those funds. So we want to create a really seamless system where sellers can, will have the right link for you to be able to buy your collect coin from PancakeSwap, make it really easy, working with those sellers to onboard them. But also, once the sales happen, and if they need access to their funds, they are entitled to that. I'm not holding anyone ransom. So we're trying to make sure that it's as easy as possible. And by doing that, you make it easier for new folks to join that don't have the same kind of crypto acumen. Because initially, I'm targeting people that I anticipate they're going to be holding crypto in general, or this is not going to be enough of a portion of their business where it significantly impacts their cash flow. But as we expand, we need to be able to service those individuals that may not fall into those categories. Um, Volume is it a bit low? Is it just me? Oh, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me okay? I guess please someone tell me. I'll just speak louder or something.
Yeah, it's
Um,
clear.
okay, good. Um, can admin tell K-Dog to be more respectful? Um, sure. I think that we have a lot of really enthusiastic supporters of of our project, of the community at large. And, I admire that enthusiasm. And I think that you have to realize what some people have been going through, like I know what we've been going through as the devs, but as an investor where you don't even have like control necessarily. You're not making decisions, you're just listening and trying to be patient. So I know that emotions may be high for some of the folks in the community. And you know, I all I can say is thank you so much for your patience and just know that the time that you have spent waiting will not be wasted. We have made tremendous developments. We've never stopped working. There have been some low points. I'll admit, when we got hacked, I was in disbelief. I could not believe that after this crazy month that we had to raise this money, now, just like that, a bunch of it is gone. But I still believe, and the whole team still believes in what it is that we're trying to build here, and they didn't stop working. You know, we had to lick our wounds and decide how to move forward, but we have we have continued, and we are very close to the launch of the marketplace now. And while there are other competitors that have propped up and said they're doing the same thing, I have not yet seen a competitor that is doing everything that we are doing. You know, all of our transactions are on chain. You know, comparing it to, let's say, StockX, you have to buy with a credit card. Nothing is on the blockchain. You don't ever have your NFT. When they first launched, you couldn't even redeem your NFT, and now you can. And then what's so strange is you can buy an NFT and redeem it so you can get the item, or you can just straight up buy it from their marketplace, and it's just cheaper to buy it from the marketplace with all the fees and everything. So what is the point even if you have this NFT, you're almost better off just selling it, and then if you wanted the item, you should just buy it. So, unfortunately, because like they're a great example of someone that, I don't think they're a real competitor. They ask for your email address, all this personal information in order to buy the NFTs. We don't ask for any of that stuff. We really try to honor so much of like what crypto is all about, being able to trade. If you want to have a semblance of privacy, you're entitled to that. If you want to buy things and sell things and buy things and sell things, feel free. But again, the moment you want us to send it to you, that there's a little bit of your privacy that you're going to have to give up. You got to give us a name, you got to give us an address, you got to give us an email address. Especially in the beginning as we work out the MVP, it is to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And that's another reason why we've taken a little bit longer than anticipated, is because we've experienced security issues. Making sure that everything's built properly so that we don't have these problems in the future. Um, will the collect will they accept card payments as well as CLCT? So we're working with a credit card processor right now that will be able to process credit card purchases um for the NFTs on the platform. So you'd be able to use your credit or debit card. Depending on where you are in the world, the fee is somewhere between, I believe, 3.5 to 6.5, maybe as much as 7% for some folks. I have to get the full table. But look, it's expensive because I mean you're onboarding right into crypto with your credit card. So yes, we will have that. I don't know if it's going to be upon launch. What this is going to be dependent on is the integration, how it happens. But I do anticipate it would happen as part of that first round of updates. First round of updates is going to include uh, we're doing fixed prices, best offers, auctions, the credit card processing. more items, more expansive collections. Uh, I mean, then there is also additional things like, you know, trying to decide how to prioritize like the lending, like so essentially that's something where I really am excited about because I think that the model really facilitates this where let's say in this market right now, you bought a watch, you bought let's say a Charizard, PSA 9 holographic Charizard. I think I was looking at them yesterday, maybe, supposedly worth like 40 grand, but people are selling them for like 90 grand. Um, well, let's just say you had that, and we would assign a value to it, what we think fair value is, and then you would be able to borrow a certain amount of that, of its access, but you have to stake the NFT. You'd borrow it for a certain amount of time. We'd have loan options, short term, as well as something longer term. The long term might be like 3 to 6 months, um, and then the shorter term, could be a week or a month, you know. But we'll work out those exact terms and what the rates are going to be. But the one thing when it comes to that, when it comes time for you to pay your interest, we give an option to pay it in, let's say, the stable that you borrowed or CollectCoin. And if you did it with CollectCoin, it would be at a significant discount, perhaps even half of what it would have been otherwise. And then when you do that, we would split those fees with the individuals in the staking pool as well. So again, it's all about continually adding features that add value to CollectCoin. So those folks that have CollectCoin that are staking, they're continuing to earn. And instead of these Ponzi APYs, 400, 4,000, I don't even know, whatever percentages, the money's coming from a real business. So there's a reasonable expectation that we can sustain this. When you're just paying wild APYs, you got to make back that money somehow. And speaking of the revenue, I can speak to kind of how some additional strategies that we're looking to make money. You know, as you're all aware, I was a seller myself, and I still very much have a lot of those contacts. And they've never stopped contacting me to buy things. And I largely have said no because I'm so focused on what we're doing that trying to like manage a separate business where I'm buying things, selling things, dealing with the customer service, it's a lot. And I've done it all by myself for many years, as well as with teams and partners and what have you. So what we're going to start to do is to acquire some of these things so the Monaco market will be able to make money, selling things for a fair price, but acquiring them at retail cost where it's significantly lower than the market. So our intention is to have a multifaceted approach for how we will generate revenue so we'll be self-sustaining because bear market or bull market, this business is going to continue. And it's just about making sure that, we can continue to afford to pay the servers, pay the devs, the founders, we don't make any money. We continue to work because we know what's possible here, and whereas other projects, the founders are robbing the treasury. That's not what we're about. We're about building something of significance that will be long lasting. Um, okay. Okay, so Javier is in Louisiana asking, how do you see Monaco market in 1 year after this day, and what do you think about one collect coin value in that time? Okay, so I can answer that question. So in 1 year's time, all right, in 1 year's time, let me paint a picture for you guys. So the Monaco market, it would have a wide array of items. I mean, and not just the differentiation of items. I anticipate by that point there'll be several of the main items, like I go back to watches a lot because they've been so commoditized. You'll see one guy with like 50 of the same watch, some of these sellers. So I think that'll kind of end up happening where there'll be multiples of some of the same items that are really that, not to say that we're going to have a limited number of items, but some items are just so popular that you got to have a few of them. And also, we want to expand the numbers of sellers in each category. I don't think it's fair that we have only three sellers forever and ever selling watches, or, one or two comic book guys, or, one seller for like Hermes bags or something like that. I think that we would have a lot more sellers on the platform. Um, In the beginning, we're going to be doing a lot of hand holding with some of the sellers. I anticipate in a year's time, sellers will largely be able to kind of run things on their own. That means submitting the forms so that we can approve their requests to sell things, have them sell us their items. I anticipate in a year's time we'd have multiple vaults, so we're working on right now differentiating some of the vaults. Instead of just having one, we may have one that deals specifically with the high valued items. We're talking maybe $10,000 and above, $5,000 and above, something like that. Um, where they're stored in one place, and maybe some of the lower valued items are stored in another place. Uh, and then also relative to size, because some of these items that are really high value can be fairly small. So it actually is not going to cost as much to do that. And we don't want to just have one vaulting partner because if something happens with that vaulting partner, it's going to be problematic. So diversification is important from the sellers to the vaulting partners. I think that's very important. Um, I would anticipate a lot of these advanced features that we have to be available. In a year's time, it's a dream, but I can't wait to make that a reality. All these things that we anticipate building, and having a year to do that. And my hope is that in a year's time, the market will be, significantly better. It is going to be the year before halving, and that tends to be good for the market. We'll see. I can't speculate on that. Anything that I know is probably something that you guys know also, because we're all kind of getting it all from crypto Twitter or maybe those influencers that we trust, analysts whose opinions we really value. We just have to, kind of do your own research and see. Um, Pulse, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and a big thank you to our moderation team, our development team, that hasn't given up either. In the face of such adversity, uh, such an extraordinary scrutiny, literally threats at times, they have not shied away. And I cannot say enough how I really respect our team because, you know, they have been so resilient and they've given me strength to be resilient myself. Because at times, it has been hard, but we know what is possible. We know what we're building toward, and we're excited to show, everyone in the community. Um, Quick Chain. Okay, Quick Chain wants to talk. Did Quick Chain raise his hand? Quick Chain. I don't see Quick Chain in the chat. It's raised. Yeah, Quick Chain is not in the
Yeah,
chat. Oh, you
I'm
are.
here.
There you are.
Yeah,
Please. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm not on you.
Hey, okay, have a little bit of
I,
coffee. I'm excited
I
to
was
talk
there.
to you.
I was there. I was there last time.
Mhm.
Last time. So this is my concern about the tax the other guy is talking about. He's talking
Yeah.
about selling tax template on. Maybe you want to buy collect coin or you want to sell. That's the tax he's talking about. I
So,
think you
I
can't. I think you can't hold people hostage for their investment.
I
Everybody's
know.
here to Everybody is here to make to get more value from their money. That's why they are here.
Yeah, that's where, when it comes to something like that, I am, I have a mixed mind about it because when people invest under the supposition of something being one way and then things change. Now, granted, look, extraordinary circumstances happen where you may have to be amenable to certain changes because it's the only way that things can continue. It's like either you do this and you survive or you don't and it's like certain demise. I guess when it comes to something like that, first of all, I would, discuss it with, maybe Reiner and see if it's something like that is even possible. Because if it's not possible,
It's
it's not.
possible. It's possible. But what I
Yeah,
think is the reason why people love cryptocurrency is that it gives people sense of woman that they have right. They feel in one society that they can't be teacher and teach and they can't be their voice can be heard. So that's what I think about and that aspect. But I have suggestion on and token bond. I think there's more risky for any cryptocurrency, any crypto, any coin that is get maybe has one machinery that is burning the token. I think if the once the collect coin is maybe big, and I don't know, maybe this can be changed or not. This is just my suggestion as the maybe community member. You can apply the machinery later. You can be burning this maybe buy back or later or manually. Once everything is big enough to avoid high attack, sometimes to manage the risk. I don't know, maybe this is possible to look at. So that's just my opinion. This is the reason why I try to talk.
Of
I
course,
don't
of
know,
course,
maybe it's possible.
of course.
You can
I
have
would just,
my manual bond and automatic, maybe later once everything is okay, everything is standard. Yeah, sure, you can have automatic. I don't know. I just think to talk about this. So that's just my question.
I appreciate the suggestion. Uh, it's definitely something that I'll take under advisement. I'll discuss it with the team and see if maybe that is something that we'll want to do. I think the way things are structured right now, in terms of the burn, I believe the burn is automatic, because, or rather, when the transactions happen on the marketplace, you know, the way CollectCoin functions, there's no taxes except, a little bit of gas that you have to pay in order to send or receive at this time. We never wanted to make it punitive for people to buy or feel trapped because they say, oh my God, if I sell, I've got to pay this tax, and then I've got to, whatever your position did, whether you made or you lost. Um, I, I take those things under consideration, and I really try to put myself into the shoes of the community, of the holders, of the people that have bought Bitcoin and have put trust into us. So I'm very mindful of that, and I do think that, whatever we decide to do, it's always going to be kind of with you guys in mind, because it's not just about, well, it's the community, but it's also the project, right? Making sure that we are able to be sustaining long term. Because look, if we are entering this bear market, sometimes this is the best time to build, because we'll just build. We have a product that I think will withstand bear or bull markets. Um, it's the kind of thing where we, people that have crypto are going to want to either, spend, or maybe they just want to diversify into something else because the sky is falling and they have a lower downside buying you know, a bat that was played in the World Series than they would if they bought this, maybe even a top 10 token. You see what's happened to top 10 tokens in the last 6 months. There aren't, 50% corrections haven't really happened in any of the markets that we're talking about. Even the most hyped watches might have lost maybe 15%, and I think that it'll stabilize and they'll go up. Whereas crypto, I don't know where the bottom is. Um, and right, Ken is absolutely right. K Dog, he makes a great point. One of the things about the collectible space is that it taps into something that kind of like it excels above like the financial part, because there's elements of nostalgia, like, for example, when I was looking at the trading cards and I started seeing Pokemon cards, it took me back to my youth, being in, I think, junior high, and having, opening up a pack and seeing what I got. A friend of mine had a Charizard and I was just so impressed by it, and it just takes you back to a simpler time. And I think that connection is something that some people really like, and that in turn drives scarcity. I want it and I don't want to give it up, and then the population size gets smaller, so then you have people that don't have it, and maybe you've always wanted it, and maybe now you can finally afford it, and people spend their money however they wish. And oftentimes collecting things that have significance, why not? Uh, in the trading card space, that a lot of look in with the watches, for example, there are watches that I've always seen that I've always loved, and maybe I couldn't afford at an earlier time, and they've gone up in value so much. Some of those things you buy for nostalgia, sometimes you buy them for investment, but whatever it may be, these types of items, they're not, they're not going to go down 50% unless something crazy would have had to happen, and I don't even know what that would look like. You know, the only times that I've seen items really go down dramatically have been if like maybe the manufacturer, something happened with them, but those aren't really we're not really dealing with that stuff. We're trying to minimize that kind of variability as much as possible with the initial collections. So you guys feel reasonably safe, you know? And while there's no absolute guarantees, you know, I can safely say that something that we're offering, it's not going to go down 90%. Look at the stable coins. Oh my God, my heart goes out to everyone out there that has Luna or Terra. I have a friend of mine who's building a project on Terra, UST, excuse me, UST or Terra. Um, I know someone building a project on Terra, and I don't even know what's going on in their minds. Uh, Having gone through so much ourselves, you know, we're so battle tested that if something crazy happened, I think we'd be able to deal with it. Um, but for folks going through this now, of no fault of their own, having to go through this, my heart goes out to each and every one of you, and just know that, you know, uh, that element of centralization, that the Binance Smart Chain has. I think, look, the BUSD has never depegged. Um, they've they've been a business that's been around since the last bull run, and they've proven that they generate a lot of actual transactional volume that kind of props up their company. So, I feel reasonably safe being on this chain. Um, and then we saw the famous Dodgers announcer Vin Scully said it best when he was describing the marketing strategy of baseball. He said, I'm paraphrasing, we don't sell sporting events, we sell memory. I mean, it's very true. That connection that people have, it's something that we're very much looking toward, which is why we've targeted these specific verticals because, historically, people tend to collect in these spaces. And whether you're knowledgeable about them or not, our intention is to educate you. Most men have the handbags. I go back to this. I know I'm talking to like 99 men right now. Maybe there's a girl in the crowd. I have no idea. But I'll tell you something, guys. Handbags, it's insane to me how great investments they make if you acquire them at the right price. You know, it and most men don't know. I didn't know. I Until I was in it, and then when I was in it, I just thought to myself that you have all these kids out here that are like going crazy for sneakers, fighting with each other, using bots and all these different tactics in order to get these, and they're very ambitious individuals. If that same kind of mindset went into handbags, oh my God, it's it's not even the same level of competition. It's different and you have to kind of approach it differently, but it's like this big little secret. And for our community, we're not keeping secrets. We're going to let you guys know and also show you guys data because these are not just opinions. My intention is so that everything is data driven. Historically over time, you can watch the progression of the pricing of these items and you'll see what's happened. So you can make your own decision. Do your own research if you wish. Just know that we've done a little bit of research in advance to kind of make things a little bit easier. Um, let's see. Any other questions? I know I said I'd stay on for about an hour. I don't see anyone else raising their hand. Does anyone else have any other questions? I would love to hear from you guys. I'll be around the Telegram later this afternoon. I'll be able to answer questions. What's the first thing we are waiting now? Paul is building something bigger. Okay, so the first thing we can wait on, I guess, so now the sale is complete. We're going to be finalizing the contract, moving to stable. Give us a couple days to assess exactly when we want to launch. That's one. Two, Stay tuned for updates this coming week. I anticipate um, some more updates related to the next iteration of the Monocle Market beta. Um, I'll do another video where I'll walk everyone through everything. And then we'll open the beta up to more folks. I think so far we've only had maybe like 12 or 15 or something. It's not a lot of people that we've had testing, mainly because as things are kind of stripped down and we're getting a lot of the same feedback, we address that feedback and then we're going to add new voices, some fresh eyes. So we want to layer this. And what that's going to lead up to, once we complete the next round, take that feedback under advisement, correct whatever issues we need to. We're going to have an open beta that, essentially it's like a test net launch. Like we'll launch it, anybody can come on the website, they can buy and they can sell. They'll have test net collect coin that they'll be able to use. And then what we'll probably do is incentivize folks to want to do certain things. The incentives may not be huge. You're not going to make a lot of money doing this, but you'll help the community. You'll make a little bit of collect coin, just to make sure that in a live scenario with lots of folks on the platform, that everything works the way that it's supposed to. And these incremental steps will ensure that when we inevitably launch wide, that everything is exactly the way that we've been promising for all of this time. And that any competitors that come along, you know, even the ones that have announced recently, I don't think they understand entirely all of the logistical things that it takes to make a business like this, where there's so many moving parts. Some of these guys, I don't think have experience in these spaces. They conceptually understand what you need to do, but it's a lot. And especially when you're trying to ultimately build something big where there's not 100 items, there's not 1,000 items, there are tens of thousands of items, and this is going to be huge. I can't wait for that day. But until then, we make incremental strides forward, manageable growth, sustainability, and ultimately a plan for success. So I guess I don't think there's any other questions. If you do have any other questions for me, write in the chat, tag me. I'll be around this afternoon. I'm really, really happy that we are moving forward. That's all I want to see. It's progress, and that's what I want to give to you, the community, to know that we are continually working every day to take the necessary steps to launch the coin, launch the marketplace, and fulfill these promises that we've established all this time. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for just participating today. And just know that I'm going to try to do this a little bit, fairly often. So you guys see me, I'll be in the chat. If there's any time that there's a question that you guys may have for, that you're uncertain about, feel free to ask it. You can always DM me. It's a little bit of luck. And the truth is, don't, if you have an important question and you need to ask me, write it. And if I don't answer in like a couple hours, few hours, write it again. Be considerate of like the New York time. And you can maybe get lucky and I'll see it and I respond. I just don't, right now there's over 500 messages. So there's always a lot. I try to like tackle them in a batch at a time. But just know that we have a great moderation crew, and we are working. I promise you. You guys will see updates. Things are moving. We're getting ever closer. Thanks so much, guys. I hope to speak to you guys again soon. Take care.